Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. In this video I'm going to be giving you guys a very quick update on my Amaryllis plants here. So in the previous update, I think this one here was just coming into flower. I gave you a time lapse of that. Since then there's been a bit more growth on the bulb, so I thought I'd give you guys an update. So going ahead with this one, as you can see those 4 flowers are finished now. They've got died off. I'll put a photo up now so you can see how nice they were when it was in full bloom. So as you saw, that had 4 large flowers on it. This large bulb at the back is also putting up another stem. That's also got 4 flowers on the end of it. So that's going to have 8 flowers in total. I think it was last year it actually had 8 flowers and they all flowered at the same time. This year it's staggered, so the first one came up flowered, it's now finished. The second one's going to come up and replace it, which is less of a display, but it means it's going to flower for a lot longer. Instead of it all being over in 2 or 3 weeks, it's over in probably 4 or 6 weeks, maybe a bit longer, maybe 2 months. And then the biggest surprise was my baby Amaryllis here. As you can see, it's really flowered quite nicely, and I do actually have a time lapse of it as well at the end, so stay around to the end of the video and I'll show you a nice time lapse of this one opening up. So this is a really small bulb. This is my baby bulb that I took off of this one originally as a side pup, and it's got 2 nice large flowers. It definitely won't be having another spike, but I was quite surprised it was going to flower at all this year, let alone have 2 nice large flowers. If it was a bigger bulb, it would probably have 4 on the one stem, or even like this one, it would have 2 stems, 4 on each, and have a total of 8 flowers. But it really depends on how big the bulb is, how much energy, and that depends on how many flowers you'll have per stem, but also how many stems you'll have in total. So I was quite happy to see that one flowering nicely, and as expected it's identical to the parent plant, as it is just a little side shoot that came off from the base. And when you take it like that, when you take a new plant off like that, it's going to be identical to the parent plant. It's basically a clone. So that one's done really nice. And then the other one here is just starting to put on a bit of growth. Still, there isn't any sign of any flower buds coming. There's about 5 or so leaves that are starting to come up from the centre there, but there's not any flower shoots yet. So I'm not sure if it's going to flower or not this year. I really would expect it to flower because it's got a really big bulb, it's got plenty of energy to flower. But I was expecting that last year, and last year we had no flowers either, it was just leaves. It seemed to just sit there dormant for a long time. When these 2 were flowering, this one was dormant. And then when this did start finally growing, it just grew leaves and no flowers. So we'll see what happens with this. I have been keeping it in quite a cold position and keeping it really dry to have more of a difference in its environment, hopefully encourage it into flowering. But now it's started to grow again. I've started to water it, and I've also brought it to a warmer position to encourage it into growth and hopefully into flowers. So that's about it for this update. All I'm going to do now is I'm going to trim off the dead flowers on this one. It's always a good idea, because what happens is you can see behind the flowers there's these quite large capsules starting to form. That's where the seeds form. If you allow them to completely develop, you'll get quite large pods full of seeds, but that means more of the energy is going from the bulb into the seed, and you don't want energy into the seed unless you're going to be growing the plants from seed later on. And because I'm not doing that, I'm just wanting to keep this one bulb, but have this one bulb with lots of energy for flowering next year. I'd rather keep its energy in the bulb for next year than put all this extra growth into the seeds. So I'm just going to quickly cut that off. So that's the only maintenance I need to do with this at the moment. What I'll do is when this starts to go yellow, the whole stem will go yellow and shrivel up. I'll cut that back once it's completely died down. But for now I'll leave that stem. It's still green, so it's still going to be putting on photosynthesis, so it's still going to be gathering energy. Plus there's a lot of nutrients in the stem itself, which the plant will pull back into the bulb, and that will give it more energy to grow big leaves. And you can see this one has put a lot of leaves on already. It's got 5 leaves at least. It looks like there could be 6 in total, but certainly 5 to begin with. So that'll put on some big leaves, get ready to absorb lots of energy for next year's flowering. So when it comes to feeding, I don't normally give them too much feed whilst they're flowering, because all the energy should be in the bulbs. But just as the flowering comes to an end, I tend to give them quite a high nitrogen feed. That's to help them develop these leaves, get a good set of leaves developed. If they can get big healthy leaves, then they're going to flower that much better, because they'll have big leaves absorb more energy. Then when it comes to midsummer, until midsummer should I say, I normally keep them on a balanced feed, and then from midsummer till they go dormant it's a high potassium feed, something like a tomato feed. So I have the high potassium feed to make sure they put plenty of potassium into the bulbs, because potassium and phosphorus is good for bulb development, but also potassium is very good for flower development for when it comes up next spring. So that's all for this video, and now I'll leave you guys with a time lapse of this one opening here, and say that's the first time that little bulb has ever flowered for me.